Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. I've got even more Lluwen Eclipsed action coming your way, with Sammy winning the die roll and starting us off. He plays a Festering Thicket. Arja draws, plays a forest, and casts an Insidious Fungus, asking the table if they'd love him if he was a worm. Max plays a Windswept Heath, sacrificing it and passing while searching. Matt draws, plays a forest, and casts a Delighted Halfling. Sammy's land is a Myriad Landscape, which comes in tapped. Arja's got a Swamp, and pays 2 mana for Cullen. He mills 4, and puts a Stitcher Supplier on top, and passes. Max just plays an island, and ships it. Metchu's got a forest, and casts an Oran Reef Ooze, putting a counter onto it, and passing. Sammy draws, playing River of Tears, and passing. Arja's got a forest, and then pays 1 black for a Stitcher Supplier. He mills 3 as it comes in, and swings his commander at Max. Max takes the 1, and Arja passes. Max plays a Masked Vandal, and doesn't use the ETB trigger as it comes in, and instead passes to Matt. Matt's got a forest, and casts Kodama of the West Tree. He then swings the Oran Reef Ooze at Sammy, and on attack, puts a counter onto it. Before damage, Sammy casts Rapid Hybridization to take out Kodama, but then still takes the hit from the Ooze. After that, Matt passes, and Arja cracks the Insidious Fungus to draw a card, and puts Drownyard Temple into play. Sammy's got a Swamp, and casts an Eclipsed Elf. He looks at his top 4, and reveals Realm Walker to put to hand, and passes. Arja's main phase starts off with a Satyr Wayfinder, and he mills 4, and gets a Polluted Mire off of it. He plays the Mire, which comes in tapped, and then casts Blackblade Reforged. Max draws but misses another land drop and has to pass. Metchu's got a forest, and he casts Puka's Covenant. He then sends the Oran Reef Ooze at Sammy, putting another counter onto it. But Sammy chumps the Eclipsed Elf. With nothing else, Matt passes. Sammy's got an island, and casts Ashiok Dreamrender. He then downticks the Walker and targets Arja. This is Arja milling 4, and then each opponent exiles their graveyards. Sammy passes after that. Arja draws and equips the Blackblade Reforged onto Cullen, and then swings him at Ashiok. Sammy lets Ashiok go, and after combat, Arja casts Cash Grab. He gets an Underground Mortuary, and plays it, surveilling 1, which has a Bajuka Bog going to the graveyard. Arja then passes turn. Max just draws, plays a Chthonian Nightmare, and passes. Metchu's main phase has Forgotten Ancient coming in, and moving to combat, he swings the Oran Reef Ooze at Sammy again. The Ooze gets a counter from attacking, and Sammy then takes the hit for 6. Sammy just draws, casts Bitter Blossom, and passes. Arja starts off his turn with some ramp, casting Explosive Vegetation, and he goes to find 2 swamps. He follows up with Hogak. Arja then continues by casting Pillage the Bog, and once he resolves it, passes turn. Max draws and discards a Mutable Explorer, dropping down to hand size as he passes turn. Metchu draws, casts Scoot Swarm, and then follows it up with a Nature's Lore. He finds a land to the field, and gets an insect token off the Scoot Swarm, and then sends the Ooze at Max. He adds a counter on attack, and Max takes 7. Sammy loses 1 on his upkeep, making a fairy token, and then drawing for turn. He casts Maralen, exiling Metchu's top 2 as she comes in. He then plays a Llanowar Wastes. Arja draws, casting Lissid Prowler in his main phase, which has him milling 8 as it comes in. He then equips the Blackblade Reforged onto Hogak, and swings it at Metchu. Matt takes the hit for 16, and Arja passes. Max's land for turn is a Bountiful Promenade, and he then sacrifices the Masked Vandal to the Nightmare, so he's able to bring back his Mutable Explorer onto the battlefield. This makes him a tap Mutavault token, and he then evokes a Mulldrifter out, drawing 2 and sacrificing it. After that, he passes. Matt's upkeep has him moving some counters off the Forgotten Ancient, and then draws for turn. He then swings his Ooze and the Forgotten Ancient at Arja, and the Frog Lizard token at Sammy. They each get a +1/+1 counter from the Ooze, and Sammy blocks with the Fairy token, while Arja chumps with the Supplier and the Prowler. With the Supplier hitting the graveyard, Arja mills another 3. Matt then passes turn. Sammy makes a Fairy token on his upkeep, and as it comes in, exiles Arja's top 2 cards and draws for turn. He then plays a Bitterbloom Bearer, exiling the top 2 of Arja's cards again. From them, Sammy casts an Assassin's Trophy and destroys the Scoot Swarm on Mathieu's side. He then casts Wilter Eldrin, exiling 2 more from Arja, and the Eldrin then enters and bounces the Forgotten Ancient. Sammy's land for turn is then a Golgari Rot Farm, bouncing a land back to hand, and he passes. Arja brings out the first Planeswalker for the game with Tyvar Jubilant Brawler, down-ticking the Walker, milling some cards, and bringing back the Citrus Supplier. With the Supplier entering, he mills another 3. And Arja then exiles the Lacid Prowler from his graveyard to put 9 counters onto Hogak. Arja then continues the life from the Loam, returning some lands to hand, and plays a Fabled Passage, and then swings Hogak at Sammy. Sammy blocks with everything except for the Bitterbloom Bearer, and Arja passes after it connects. Max plays an Eclipse Realm, naming Elemental, and he then casts Celestial Reunion for 3, and beholds 2 elementals from hand. This has him getting a Risen Reef into play, which as it comes in, triggers itself, and he reveals a Temple Garden, which comes into play. Max then passes, and during the end step, Mathieu casts Beast Within, destroying the Blackblade Reforged. Matt draws and swings the Ooze and Frog token at Arja. Arja chumps the Ooze with Stitcher Supplier, and takes 6 from the rest, and with the Supplier hitting the graveyard, mills 3. Mathieu then casts Ferrafor after combat. This has him making 11 Saproling tokens as he comes in, and he passes turn. Sammy makes 2 Fairy tokens and loses 2 life because of his Bitter Blossom and Bitterbloom Bearer on his upkeep, and then draws for turn. He plays a Festering Thicket, and then casts Realm Walker, naming Elf. Sammy then continues by casting a Wirewood Channeler off the top, thanks to the Realm Walker, and passes to Arja. Arja plays a Cabal Coffers, and activates the Coffers, and leaves 2 floating black mana to activate Kulin. This has him making 8 Worm tokens, and he then casts Ransack the Lab. Arja then follows up by activating Tyvar, untapping his commander, and then activating him again, making 9 Worms this time as he discards a land. Going to combat, Arja swings Hogak at Mathieu, who soaks up some of the damage with Ferrafor, but takes the rest from Trample. After that, Arja passes. Max draws and plays out Rain-Slicked Copse, and then casts a Twin Flame Travelers, which as it comes in, triggers Risen Reef twice, and both cards go to Max's hand. He then recasts the Nightmare, and immediately bounces it to swap the Mutable Explorer to get back Ashling rekindled from his graveyard. This gets him 2 more Reef triggers, hitting a land for the first, and the card goes to hand in the second. Max then ships it. Mathieu draws and casts Guardian Project, and passes. Sammy's upkeep once more has him losing 2 and making 2 Fairy tokens, and drawing. He casts Halo Forger, and uses it to help cast Pillage the Bog from Arja's graveyard. Sammy then continues by casting Imperious Perfect, and then passes turn. Arja draws and casts Splingbroom Druid, sacrificing the Drownyard Temple to go and find 2 basics to the field. He then casts Scapeshift and sacrifices 3 lands to go into his library and put to field Westfall Abbey, Urborg, and a forest. Going to combat, Arja then swings Hogak at Sammy, who blocks with everything, but still drops to 2. After that, Arja passes. Max draws and in his main phase, flips Ashlane, making 2 red. He then casts Tristani, Selesnya's voice, and then uses the floating red mana to help cast Cavalier of Night. Arja offers to not swing Hogak at him if he'll let Hogak live, so Max just sacrifices Ashlane to destroy the Oran Reef Ooze. But Mathieu saves it with a heroic intervention. Max also gets 2 Risen Reef triggers, and he passes after resolving them. Mathieu draws, plays out a forest, and casts everyone's favorite green finisher, Craterhoof Behemoth. This has his board getting +16/+16, and he swings out at the table. With Arja tapped out for green mana, unfortunately, he's unable to cast the Fog in Hand, which would have been brutal, which would have been a blowout for Mathieu, who instead sweeps the game and wins. Game review time. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that Craterhoof Behemoths are boring wins, but they get the job done. And when you have a board full of tokens, it's a great way to do just that. I'm pretty sure had a board wipe and played this game, things would have been very different, and Maralen seemed to be getting a lot of traction, getting a lot of value, which is kind of what the deck does. Arja built it towards elves, but I'd be curious to see how it goes with fairies. Kulin, which I'm hoping I'm saying properly, is cool. I love Would You Love Me If I Was a Worm decks. I love Worm Harvest. I think it's awesome. It's a really graveyard-focused deck, and Arja kind of loves that style, which was cool to see. I don't know what it is with Max's decks being camera shy, but he does not run 12 lands, despite the fact that it seems like he only plays 2. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.